How hard is it for you to say no? We all get caught up in the busyness of the day, totally distracted, and perhaps say yes when we really know we should be saying no, an absolute no. But if this happens more often than not, and you sense that maybe it's causing stress and overwhelming your life, then it's probably unhealthy, and it might even have taken a life of its own. Perhaps it's time for a review. Otherwise, it can lead to burnout, frustration, and resentment, and it's going to get in the way of your goals too. If you never say no, well, what is your self-worth? More importantly, how are you thinking of yourself? What is your self-regard? It's what we're diving into with today's coaching, battling busyness and why you just can't say no. I know this because that was me too. I'm guessing you might relate to how the typical day of overwhelm goes for most of us. The alarm goes off. After 5 hours of sleep, you just jump out of bed early every morning, having slept badly, and you're probably feeling like you're so tired that you're just crazy, and you declare that you won't stay up late ever again. But you fully well know it's not true. But before the day really even starts, you throw on those workout clothes, determined to exercise so that you can lose a few pounds. But next thing you know, you find yourself lying on the exercise mat, tempted to sleep and meditate, convincing yourself that it would just be better off if you did a little yoga because you know you're too exhausted to lift weights or do intense cardio, so then you start justifying. And so it goes. The day that should be full of excitement, and it probably was exhilarating with promise just a decade or maybe 2 decades ago, well, now it feels like a day of total numbness in survival mode, and you find yourself smiling at people, but you also see the day through this lens of fog and overwhelm. You struggle to remember what to do, and you can't seem to think or form words as you surf your social media channels and you munch on a cookie from the workroom. It's total burnout, and it's only 10 in the morning. Oh my goodness, you see where this is going. The long hours, the long years of working those ridiculous hours, pushing yourself, the constant levels of stress that you've dealt with, raising children, caring for your family, and it all lands in your body and your brain, preventing you from thriving and loving your life. Chronic stress is rampant. We are expected and often expect ourselves to perform well, live longer, do more. Chronic stress is everywhere. It's not just among those working endless, stressful jobs or running businesses. It's in our young people too. It's in older workers. It's in those caring for grandparents and elderly parents. Our lives are fast, frantic, and full of way too much stuff that overstimulates our brains. See, we're expected and we expect ourselves to keep on pushing hard. And it leads to burnout, depression, and health problems as well as weight problems too. When we're under stress, our bodies perceive it as a threat, and this means your hormones constantly trigger that fight or flight response with adrenaline and cortisol constantly pumping through your body, keeping you in survival mode. Now, these hormones should normally turn on and then off again when danger has passed, but constant stress means our bodies are literally primed all the time for a battle with danger, and it's called little t trauma. Now, I see this routinely in my clients for whom saying yes too often has become a total problem. And by that I mean so that it no longer feels like this conscious choice. See, they start to feel like a victim to their own lives, and it's because of core beliefs that they have about themselves. And maybe you've sensed that too. We usually develop these core beliefs early on in our lives, typically between 0 and 5. That's right, age 5, which might sound a bit scary to you because, well, that means that you needed to have parents who have provided a loving and secure environment to stay out of an I can't say no existence and to create a life of calm and consistent health and happiness. Now, maybe you didn't have the best of circumstances growing up, but research has shown that our attachment patterns are set in early childhood, and they do persist throughout our lifetime. These patterns are either secure or insecure, healthy or existing in survival with actions that likely work behind the scenes in your life to sabotage your life, like the inability to say no. But have no fear. You actually do have influence in your ability to affect the future and not to feel like a victim to your own life. You do have the ability to make changes. I promise. It's what we do in our coaching. Now, according to Stanford University professor of psychology, Albert Bandura, a leader on agency and self-efficacy research, we have far more power than we think. Just take a moment to reflect on how much you do every day to keep your life on track. You do a lot. There's a tremendous amount of power there. See, just being aware of it and then using it is the way to affect radical change in your life, to create a transformation with your health, your happiness, and your weight loss. Becoming aware of how much you are saying yes to receive the validation of others, maybe that you wanted back in childhood, will actually set you free. But some people have always found it hard to believe that they're valuable or lovable. As humans, we all want to be loved, so sometimes we develop these rules for living to try to get rid of those painful beliefs about ourselves. It's those painful feelings we don't want to feel. And so it goes. The word yes becomes almost as tempting and tantalizing as a chocolate chip cookie. Yes to others means validation. Yes to others means you can stay busy and not feel your feelings. Yes to others causes you to feel valued, needed, and irreplaceable. But that's just the former child in you that wants to be seen, heard, loved, and more. I guess this was something that really used to resonate with me. I found saying no was just really hard in my life. It was so important to be seen as this good or this nice person, to be accepted by others. I thought if I was super nice and I did everything, I was helpful, and I never upset anyone, that I'd be loved and accepted, validated, which is what I craved. Just total love that I didn't get from my dad. However, nothing I ever did was enough, and then I ran circles around myself, being totally stressed out and getting no sleep, not thriving. It didn't matter how much I said yes. I didn't feel appreciated or valued. Add to that work and family responsibilities. When is there time for self-care, a healthy lifestyle, or even sleep? I didn't have any time for it, and maybe you even have found yourself in the same situation. Feeling resentful, underappreciated, angry, and dare I say and admit, full of rage and very, very tired. Over time, I realized that if I always said yes, my yes no longer had any value. And I also didn't have high self-regard or self-love, which is at the very foundation of permanent weight loss and of your coaching program. It's critical to learn to value yourself and to say no to others so that you can start saying yes to create success in your own life in health, happiness, and weight loss. After all, your life and your time are very precious. One thing I decided to do that helped me was to stand in my power by choosing my thoughts and my feelings according to the way I choose to act or to show up in life. In other words, I used our thought model to align that think, my feel, my do, so that every action I take supports my life goals. Now, this is what it also means to have agency, if you've heard of that before. To have agency means you actively process how you're responding to true circumstances in life. In other words, you actively create your results rather than automatically reacting or responding with old survival patterns that you've used just to numb out, to create that fog. You do not have to overeat less healthy foods. You can say no to food. You do not have to stay up late. You can say no to that TV show. You do not have to volunteer for everything. You can say no to the volunteer coordinator. You do not have to talk to your aging mom during the workday. You can say no to being on the phone while you're supposed to be working. You do not have to accept clients or salespeople who are not scheduled. You can say no. You have agency to say no so that you have time, energy, and a positive outlook to create permanent weight loss, sheer happiness, and ongoing health for life. And while it's fine and good to do yoga or meditation, to read a book, take a walk, get a pedicure, or just breathe, well, that's not what actually kills that busyness button that you've used for life just to keep you numb, buffering emotions, and sabotaging your success in health, happiness, and weight loss. The biggest thing that you can do for yourself is just learn to say no. Say no to anything that isn't vital at work. Say no to social activity if actually what you need to do is relax and unwind. Say no to people asking you for stuff or worthy causes that require your time and emotional support. Say no to giving up your weekends, and say no to overtime. Say no to the happy hour in the work week. Say no to demanding toxic friends. Just say no. Because when you say no to others, you are actually saying yes to yourself. When you say no to others, you are creating boundaries for freedom in your life. That's right, boundaries create freedom. When you say no to others, you're creating more time in your day for what really matters. That boundary gives you time. Saying no is an inside job to protect yourself from stress and overwhelming situations and work requirements. So start saying no firmly with love, not anger, and without longing to say yes just to validate that inner child, that busyness button. It's time to stand in your power. Use agency to align your think, feel, do, and to live life fully with permanent health, happiness, and weight loss. Okay, here are my top tips for saying no. Number 1, keep it simple. If you want to say no, be firm and direct. No wishy-washy here. Instead of trying to put distance between yourself and the request by saying, oh, maybe I'll get back to you, or later, just be clear. Thanks for thinking of me, but I can't do that right now. Don't apologize. You don't have to. Be kind but firm. If you're really not sure, then step 2, provide a little bit of space. Take a deep breath and count to 5 before answering. Give yourself some breathing space by asking for time to consider and then really looking at whether you can add this to your list. You don't have to answer immediately. All right, number 3, say no to your children is okay. Now, I see this one a lot, whether they're still at home as younger children or grown up and nagging you for babysitting duties or to help them out with errands. It's hard to remember who's boss here. You do not have to say yes to everything your kids ask of you, and sometimes standing your ground and setting boundaries for freedom is vital to their own development. It's normal to be unpopular from time to time, and you don't have to be their best friend. It's part of the Aren't You Lucky parent bundle. Okay, number 4, be true to yourself. We're back to that does it bring you joy and support your goals thing here. Know what you really want in life, understand your long-term vision, and know what you are truly committed to creating in your life. Then try to stay on track. Pause before saying yes and listen to those thoughts. Be aware of your feelings and ask yourself, do I really want to do this? Does this really uphold my health, happiness, and weight loss? And that's permanent weight loss. Okay, my friends, I hope this helped you to start saying no. I hope you'll click reply and let me know in your email.